okay, what needs to be done? And I'll shut up. I'll stop with my stupid editorial comments. You just go through the top 3 or 4 things that you think this incoming administration, which has a rare mandate, should achieve in order.
I believe that there's a lot of policy issues downstream, the border, inflation, wars across the world. All of them are downstream of one reality, and that is the American people currently are not in control of their government, and the president hasn't been either. And
That's correct, man.
We have to solve that. We have to solve the woke and the weaponized bureaucracy and have the president take control of the executive branch. So my belief, for anyone who wants to listen, is that the president has to move executively as fast and as aggressively as possible with a radical constitutional perspective to be able to dismantle that bureaucracy and their power centers. And I think there are a couple of ways to do it. Number one is going after the whole notion of independence. There are no independent agencies. Congress may have viewed them as such, SEC or the FCC, CFPB, the whole alphabet soup. But that is not something that the Constitution understands. So there may be different strategies with each one of them about how you dismantle them. But as an administration, the whole notion of an independent agency should be thrown out, particularly with the Department of Justice, in which there's literally no law. All it is precedent from the Watergate era that the Attorney General and those lawyers don't work for the president. And
who do they work for?
They think that they work for themselves. They think that they are.
So they have the power to kill people just because they awarded themselves that power? They have the power to kill people. I mean,
they believe that they have the power for all of the prosecutions, and that the president doesn't get a say in any of that. And we have to go at that as hard as we possibly can, whether that's the military. We have a whole military industrial complex of generals, and Tommy Tuberville kind of exposed this last year with a fight about life, but it really became a fight about whether we have essentially a military that is not subject to civilian leadership. So you can apply the concept of destroying independence at every agency. I even saw it in aspects of OMB with regard to who gets to make the decisions on statistics, right? Like there are little pockets of independence that have to be we got to remove those, right? They're unconstitutional. Number 2,
would you include the Fed in that list?
So I am not a huge fan of the Fed. I can't look at the Constitution and the massive decades-long decisions that they have made totally undemocratic and see that is a place where there deserves to be an exception for
I don't even understand who controls the Fed. I mean, and where does their authority come from? God? Are they speaking directly to God? Like, what is this?
No, because they're wrong, and they've been wrong.
Noticed
for decades, right?
Right. Now let's go to zero interest rates for 11 years. See what happens. So President Trump hasn't run on that, and so I'm not going to speak. But I'm just interested is you've looked into the question of what authority does the Constitution bestow into whom?
No, and to give you an example, if you go on if you were watching news, you're going to have seen in the last 2 years ads saying oppose the Fed's regulations on bank capital, right? Well, who are they supposed to call? They're not calling their congressman. Congressman has no power. The issue is like the call to action is against the Fed. Well, sorry, you're kind of out of luck.
What's the lever we would use to influence the Fed?
There is no lever, right? And so they have existed with this notion that they have this priestly ability to make decisions. And in fact, I don't actually think they're that good at it. I think people like President Trump are in fact better at it. And there's no reason that they should be exempt from the normal democratic process. And if Congress wants to come along and pass rules that says, this is how we want the money supply to go, all of that is in their purview. But I think, this is not some exception to the rule. Doesn't mean in any way that, President Trump has any interest in doing anything in this area. But I don't think it's the exception that proves the rule on independence being something that is important. downstream to the CDC, the NIH. I think everything that people like Bobby Kennedy have been running on and others is about, no, you're not some priestly role. You are politicians yourselves. You just don't have to face voters, right? So independence is, I think, first and foremost.